Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm Alex Levin. You're here with me on Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube channel this morning or whenever you're dialing in. And I just want to thank so many of you for um, supporting me in this practice and joining me and for personally. And it's good for the planet. It's good for all of us when we do this practice. It ripples out. And yeah, so to the moon and back. Um, the phrase, love you to the moon and back. And I do. And I'm thinking of how when we meditate, in a sense, we teleport. We're sitting here, and yet you can find yourself mm, in Spain or preparing dinner or something. You're preparing your to-do list or your lesson plans, whatever you're doing, and you can really feel like you're somewhere else, can't you? And so there are these two elements of being grounded and present. And sometimes that can even be, that can have, there's a continuum of that where we can be almost too heavy, too much, um, almost too inert, too stagnant. And in terms of the meditation practice, we might be too stiff, too rigid, uh, and it might feel heavy that way. And what we do, some of us yearn for in our practice is also this sense of lightness, this sense of ease and spaciousness. And often, at least for me, it seems to flow into if the two of those can be present, then there's a true integration. There's an ease where both are present, and there's a inclusion actually. But we can also get sort of like the helium balloon we've let go of. We can get um, lost in our thoughts, lost in some physical pain that we're delving into. And maybe that's the too grounded side. Not sure about that. In any case, as I've often said, it's really, really a celebration when you notice yourself, when you notice that you've lost that you've untethered, that the helium balloon has gone off and it's way somewhere in the sky. When you notice that, that is your pull back to ground. It's the helium balloons now come with a little bit, the the ribbon is tied to a something heavy, a little box that you can anchor it down often. And so I just uh, heard yesterday from my teacher, Russell Delman, that when and so another aspect of this, when we are meditating and we want to step into that more spacious place, and so the invitation might be where we kind of imagine seeing ourselves from the back or be above or just start to merge with the space around us. And when you might have a resistance to that, when your psyche, your being is like, can't do it. He suggested that that is the body's, that is our intelligence. Intelligence keeping us here at home. We're in the grounded state. That perhaps we need to cultivate more of the groundedness before we let go into the spacious, before we play with slowly migrating into more and more spaciousness so that we don't completely become unmoored, untethered. So it was a bit of a new angle for me to hear that, to hear him say that that is our innate intelligence. And so come back as often as you need. And if that door doesn't open for you, that spaciousness, and I'm guessing that even if you're a new meditator, you've had tastes of that. You've had tastes of that spaciousness just in daily life off the cushion where um and it could be the disconnected spaciousness where we're just spacey, or it could be that connected, that integrated spaciousness where we are just so with the moment. We're completely in ourselves, in our body, in our being, and yet we're so open to this moment of nature, of a particular sunset, maybe with certain people or beings or pets that you um, adore. It might be at a moment of birth, at a moment of tragedy, actually, sometimes tragedies and where we're really needed to be here. We can also sort of be here tending to the task, like very focused and yet open to what is needed next, who's around me, who do I need to call, what is needed in the urgent situation. So I think all of us have had moments like that. We know it because what I'm describing again is this coming home to the integrated self of all aspects of ourself, and that's what we are practicing to be more familiar with because it's already here. Click your heels 3 times. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. It's here, but we need to remember that. So let's dive into our seated practice, our 12 minutes together. And yeah, we'll start with a bell and a bow. Do ensure that your seat offers you the support that you need. As Russell says, have a good journey. So set up your seat if you haven't already. Use these first moments of of the practice. And perhaps at this point it's just the micro movements of not imposing them, but listening for them through the physical sensation, the gravitational downward pull, and feel the groundedness in your body, the groundedness available, that responds to the gravitational pull. You might simultaneously be inviting the breath, this more buoyant aspect, and this flow coming and going as you sense your bottom, your legs, your feet, and the way your hands and or wrists may be touching the solid beneath. Take your time, and the micro movements may happen on their own. Settling. More and more of that firmness that we feel at our base, our foundation, the groundedness of body meeting the groundedness of earth. Feel how now the spine, the central channel, the torso can just lightly, easily have its uprightness. So this levity, the complementary force of the gravity. Breath at the heart, perhaps broad collarbones, and just a openness upward to the heavens through the neck, shoulders, neck, and head. Balance of the more grounded and more spacious. Sounds are floating in as well. Close by, my dog snoring, another dog in the distance barking, the hum of the fan. And so sound and this space around us, space within us, space around us, can be this portal to integration, to deep integration. The vertical one can as well, and this horizontal opening, this following how the sound comes. How your listening may move outward and pull inward the sounds, and how the sounds may be coming towards you or pulling you out. Again and again, come home to your own root, the ground. perhaps relax a little bit more. How could it be true that there's nothing you need to do? So visitors come and go. Remember who it is that lives here. And perhaps with that sense of tetheredness here, that who can be felt as much, much more than just this body. We bow together to complete our practice. And during that bow, or if you've already bowed, just feel that shift of energy of that movement. Perhaps there's a draw to still sit, and that's fine if you have the time. And perhaps there's a pull toward the next things in your day. This feel of what the transition feels like. This quiet, still state, and we're moving toward all the next things ahead of us. Just being conscious, bringing consciousness to that is enlivens it for us, enlivens it. So thank you so much for joining me today. Um, uh, I have a homework suggestion, a couple actually, a couple homework suggestions, perhaps. And I'll take on this challenge as well. I usually sit for about 15, 18 minutes, 21 minutes. I set my timers. And sometimes I sit 27, 28 minutes, and I'm going to go for one of those longer ones soon this week, up to, like a half hour. That can be very helpful to our stillness. And the other is to take a short pause during the day to use this practice whenever we're in a sort of transition. And I'm going to also, I try this one a lot. It's hard to do, and we're training for it, right? Is catch yourself when there's an impulse. For me, it's the impulse to snack at 9 o'clock at night, and see where I could pause for a moment. Not that it won't happen, but pause and see, where is it coming from? Is it coming from out there, in here? What's the draw? What's the particular flavor of craving? Not just the craving itself, but what are the details of it? Could be interesting. See you here next time. Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Mary Beth. Thanks. I know that Linda and Virginia and Catherine and so many more of you joined me. Thanks so much. And ciao, ciao. Blessings.